Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 2nd of September. The first news that is affecting the ban on single-use plastic. This is from the text and context page of the Hindu. Second, UGC proposes cluster of the colleges. Third, cervical cancer vaccine ready to be the part of immunization program. Again, a great achievement for India. Fourth, UN accused China of Uyghur rights abuse. And the last is an editorial that is academia, research, and the glass ceiling in India. A brilliant editorial that will give you an insights about the glass ceiling for the women's. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions, and these questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before that, if you are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. So starting this session with the first news, that is affecting the ban on single-use plastic. This particular news is relevant for General Studies Paper 3, that is Conservation, Environmental Pollutions, Degradation and EIA. So the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified the Public Waste Management Amendment Bill 2021 in August 2021, right? So this was the bill that was proposed by the central government to ensure a complete ban in the single-use plastic. Now, since July 1st, 2022, India has banned the manufacturing, the import, the stocking, distribution, sale and the use of single-use plastic. तो किसी भी तरह की manufacturing, import, stocking हो, distributions हो, sell हो, single-use plastic को बंद किया गया. So I'll be addressing single-use plastic as SUP so that you can understand it better. Now the item with low utility and high littering potential is categorized under the single-use plastic. Now talking about India's international obligations. So India is party to United Nations Environment Assembly, जिसको UNEA भी कहा जाता है. And this assembly is again significant because many other countries are also party to it, and it make an obligation for all the member countries. So on all, 124 nations are party to the United Nations Environment Assembly. So number can again be important, specifically if you're writing in mains. So 124 countries ऐसे हैं जो parties हैं. India has signed a resolutions to draw up an agreement in future that will make it legal binding for the signatory to address the life cycle of plastics from the productions and disposables. Now कुछ ऐसे items जो banned हैं, I think most of people are aware of the fact, but still कई बार लोगों को confusion होती है कि single use plastic की जो banned है वो single use किसे कहते हैं. So first the plastic that carry 75 micron less की thickness जिसमें होती है वो single use plastic के categories में आती है. Earbud with plastic sticks for balloons, plastic flags, candy sticks, ice cream sticks जो हैं, these are the list of the item in the single-use plastic. Apart from this, polystyrene or thermocol for decoration, disposable crockery जैसे plates हो गई, cups, glasses, cutlery such as forks, spoon, knives, straws and trays, these are categorized under single-use plastic. Now wrapping or packing films around the sweet boxes, invitations card and cigarette packets, and the plastic or PVC banner less than 100 microns or stickers. So these are the list of the item that comes under the single-use plastic after the government notifications. Now some harmful impact of the single-use plastic. किस तरह से ये जो single-use plastic है वो हमारे environmental के लिए detrimentals हैं और इसके क्या-क्या repercussions. So the purpose of the single-use plastic is to use them once for a short period of time before disposing them, right? और plastic की अगर बात करें, plastic waste has a drastic impact on our environmental and human health. Now there's a greater likelihood of the single-use plastic product ending up in C than the reusable one. तो कई बार बहुत इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने, रिसर्चर्स ने ये पाया है कि ये प्लास्टिक्स कहीं ना कहीं जाके सीज में एक्युमुलेट होती है एंड इट इज क्रिएटिंग अ लॉट मोर प्रॉब्लम. Now, India has taken a resolutions to step up to mitigate the pollutions caused by littering of the single-use plastic. Now, impact on environment, how it is detrimental and what are the repercussions for the environment. So the littering single-use plastic impact has adverse impact in both for the terrestrial and the aquatic ecosystem. चाहे वो terrestrial ecosystem हो या फिर aquatic ecosystem हो, दोनों के लिए ही नुकसानदेह है. All countries face major environmental challenges due to the pollution that is caused by the SUP, that is the single-use plastics. कुछ और इम्पैक्ट्स अगर जाने, कोई ऐसे 9 रीजंस हैं फॉर द सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक. 9 रीजन टू रीयूज द सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक. फर्स्ट, मेड फ्रॉम द फॉसिल फ्यूल्स, huge carbon footprint will still be there in the 100 for years. Only for a tiny percentage is recycled, leaches toxin into the food drinks, cause hormone disruption and cancers. Pollutes our environment, or you can say the oceans, kills marine animals and birds. Last but not the least, enter to a food chain. This is the reason we need to completely cordon off, ban the single-use plastic. Now, India की resolutions की अगर बात करें जो single-use plastic को लेकर के है, India has piloted for a resolutions with regards to the single-use plastic in the 4th United Nations Environment Assembly in 2019. If you're able to recall the 4th number, that is again important, right? Recognizing the urgent needs for the global community to address the problem of single-use plastic. Now, this resolution was adopted at the United Nations Assemblies, which is again a step forward. और अगर बात करें recently जो 5th session हुई है United Nations Assemblies की March 2022, India has engaged constructively. India ने constructively इस चीज को discuss किया. And with the matter, they have stated that to develop the consensus on the resolutions that drive for basically against the plastic resolution. So the approach which was made by India, the inclination that was made by India will definitely be recognizable. And in light of the commitment that has been made by India to ensure कि जितनी भी इस तरह के environmental detriments हैं, उसको India अपनी तरफ से रोकथाम करेगा. So again, resolution is a par with all the commitment that India has made. Now, the country that banned SUP, single-use plastic की अगर बात करें, apart from India, कौन-कौन से ऐसे countries हैं जिन्होंने इसे ban किया है? So India is not the first country to ban the single-use plastic. इसके अलावा Bangladesh has become the first country to ban the thin plastic in 2002. After that, New Zealand was a country that has banned the plastic back in 2019. China has issued a ban on the plastic bag in 2020 with the phased implementations. And as of July 2019, 68 countries have a plastic ban with varying degrees of enforcement. हर एक देश में अलग अलग लेवल पे अलग तरीके से अलग लॉज को गवर्न करके प्लास्टिक बैन को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादातर रोका जा रहा है. बेसिकली जो सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक है उन पे लॉज बनाए जा रहे हैं. Now, plastic waste management rule in India. India की अगर बात करें specifically, see I'm covering this topic holistically. कि अगर किसी भी तरह से कोई क्वेश्चंस आए, either it is being asked in the mains examination or prelims examination, आप उसको आराम से कवर करोगे. So क्या क्या रूल्स हैं इंडिया में? The Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rule prohibit any kind of manufacturing, import, stocking, distributions and single-use plastic with a thickness less than 75 microns, right? तो 120 माइक्रोन गवर्नमेंट ने रेकमेंड किया है जो कि अलाउ की जाएगी. Now, in addition, the government of India has taken steps to promote innovations, create an ecosystem, and accelerate the adoption and availability of alternative across the country. तो कई ऐसे alternatives हैं, papers bag हैं, even for muslin cloth bags. These are again which is recommended. Now, to ensure the effective implementation ban, जो नेशन और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है at national level, both from the central government and the state government, they have to establish a well enforcement agency which will have a purpose of rechecking the illegal sale of the single-use plastic. And apart from the state law enforcement agencies या state के इस तरह की initiatives, we as a people, we as a citizen of this country need to take the moral responsibility to understand that this is something which is detrimental to our environment. तो हमें भी अपना proactive role दिखाना होगा as an enlightened citizen, as a basically a citizen who is working for the progress of our country. हमें भी इस तरह से चीज़ों को exempt करने की ज़रूरत है, बचने की ज़रूरत है. Now, it in efforts to empower citizens to help curb the plastic menace, and Central Pollution Control Board ने grievance redressal applications भी launch किए. Now, यहाँ पे manufacturers का किस तरह का role है and how they can also play a crucial role. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has notified the amendment rule in February 2022. So there's a procedures called Extended Producer Responsibility, which is also known as EPR. EPR stand for Extended Producer Responsibility, right? So ये responsibility is like a responsibility of a producer for the environmentally sound management to the product until ends for the life. तो उसकी responsibility होगी ताकि वो इस तरह से sound management करे कि जो product जब तक पूरी तरह से destroy ना हो जाए environment से, they have to take care of it, right? And the guideline provided for a framework to strengthen the circular economy, plastic packaging waste, promote and develop new alternatives for the packaging, and provide for the next step moving towards sustainable plastic packaging by the business people. Now, moving to the other news, that is UGC proposed clustering of colleges, something relevant for General Studies Paper 2, under the topic Issues related to development and management of education and human resources. So recently, the University Grant Commission, that is UGC, they have finalized a plan, a guideline for transforming the colleges and universities into multidisciplinary institution. And this is in line with the new education policy, or you can say the National Education Policy 2022, right, which was recently envisaged by the central government, and implementation of it is there in the full swing. Now, the Commission has prescribed different approaches, which will include the clustering of the establishment located in the proximity to each other, right? तो जो ऐसे institutions जो एक दूसरे के आसपास होंगे उनको cluster करके एक बनाया जाएगा. Now, the UGC will soon make a public guideline with regards to the guidelines for transforming the higher educational institutions into the multidisciplinary institutions. Now, क्या aim है? Why this rule has come up? What is the main intention? So this aims to help the state government and the universities to frame an appropriate rule and policies which is uniform in nature, promoting multidisciplinary institutions, which was the key recommendations provided under the National Education Policy 2020, the newest education policy in our country. Now, the UGC has also suggested the academic collaborations between the HEIs, जितने भी higher educational institutions के जो clusters हैं, basically between the institutions through clusters जो कि HEI के अंदर आते हैं, under promoting the multidisciplinary educations and research online and offline mode. So both mode is permitted under this. Advantages की अगर बात करें cluster system की कैसे advantages है, how it is going to substantially play a role in it. So cluster system will help the single stream institutions with poor enrollment due to the lack of employment orientations. तो जो single stream institutions हैं उनमें basically streaming की जाएगी, clustering की जाएगी, so that a potential output is coming from there. Innovative multidisciplinary course and the lack of financial resources will also help to improve the grading. अगर NAC की grading की बात करें, NAC is an organizations which is basically responsible to give the ranking, तो वहाँ पे accreditations में भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा मदद मिलेगी. Other approaches of existing colleges की अगर बात करें, the UGC has prescribed two other approaches. ये दो ऐसे approaches हैं जो कि colleges और universities को multidisciplinary बनाने में मदद करेंगे. ये कौन से दो प्रोसेस हैं? जो राइटिंग स्पेसिफिकली इन द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन आप इस तरह के पॉइंट्स को जरूर हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. द फर्स्ट इज द मर्जर ऑफ सिंगल स्ट्रीम इंस्टीट्यूशंस विद द मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी इंस्टीट्यूशंस अंडर द सेम मैनेजमेंट और डिफरेंट मैनेजमेंट. दिस इज अगेन द प्रेरोगेटिव ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूशन दैट विल बी मर्जिंग. And the second important part is the expanding of the number of department and colleges or the university by adding new subjects such as languages, literature, music, Indology, sports, etc. Now, capacity building for faculty is again very important and pivotal in this aspect, because without capacity building, we cannot ensure the targets. तो UGC ने suggest here that capacity building for faculty is very important because they need to teach, train, and research in multidisciplinary academic programs through the innovations like annual reference program and teaching as well as investment in the learning assessment tool. Now, this has also happened on the setting of educational development या फिर education departments की बात करें, university and colleges that will teach the curriculum in design, methodology, communications writing for the future teachers, right? They will also have a writing to the future teachers that they need to build a capacity building methodology where the best potential output is given from the faculty end. The other news, cervical cancer vaccine ready to be the part of immunization program. Again, this is an achievement that India has made indigenously, something relevant for General Studies Paper 3, that is achievement of India in science and technology, Indianization of new technology and the development of new technology. So India's first indigenational developed quadrivalent human papilloma virus, जिसको QHPV कहते हैं, for the cervical vaccine that is prevented will be launched in a few months. The vaccines is ready. जो trials थे वो पूरी तरह से complete कर लिए गए हैं and after trials the success rate is also witnessed. Now the affordable and indigenous developed HPV vaccine will prevent from the cervical cancer is now ready to include in the Union Government Universal Immunization Program. तो जो UIP programs हैं उनके अंदर जितने भी vaccines हैं उसमें human papilloma virus की vaccines को भी include की जाएंगी, right? And the country's drug regulator has approved the HPV vaccine in July after the immunogenicity trial that was conducted in the 13 centers in our country. Now, इस वैक्सीन के बारे में अगर बात करें, India's first indigenous developed vaccine that is for the cervical cancer, जिसका नाम रखा गया है Cervavac. This is again important for many other competitive examinations, so take a note of it. And this is developed with the partnership of Department of Biotechnology, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Organization, which is also known as BIRAC, or Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or Serum Institute of India. So 4 institutions are involved, which is a part of the development process. Now, the vaccines can prevent any kind of infection, but it cannot clear that once it happens, it will be completely cured. But again, the prevention methodology is there. And for individual older, 3 doses are recommended. This cervical cancer in India is mostly reported in women, right? So human papilloma virus की अगर बात करें, HPV is commonly a sexually transmitted infections, and cervical cancer is caused by the persistence of high risk strain of the HPV continue to be the one type of cancer that is preventable for the vaccines. Now, 2 vaccine doses are supported to be administered to the teenager girls before they are actually sexually active, right? So before they are active on that part, उससे पहले ही vaccines लगाई जाएंगी. Now, India's account for about 1/5 of the global burden for the cervical cancer, rising like close to 1.2 lakh from 75,000 deaths a year. The number is increasing. That is the reason Government of India has come up with the preventive measures with the vaccines. Worldwide cervical cancers की अगर बात करें, the second most common type of the cancer that is being reported by the WHO, international agencies for the research on cancer. Now, if you look into the stages of cervical cancer, अगर बात करें किस stages में होती है, there are 4 important stages as far as the medicine is concerned. The first is the normal stage. You can see a minute level of infection. Again, there is early stage of IB, early stage of IB, late stage, then there's a stage called IIB, right? So these are some of the basics of cervical cancer. I'm not getting into the details of it because that details is not relevant for our examination purposes. Now, UN accuses China of Uyghur rights abuse, something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries. So Geneva-based Human Rights Council ने बताया है that China is accused of serious human right violations and the crimes is against humanity that was reported in examine the crackdown of the Uyghurs ethnic community which is there in China, right? So the assessment largely collaborated in the early reporting and advocated group has new media where it added that the body with a conclusion and the report was found that definitely these people were harassed. China has officially denounced the assessment and fabricated cooked by the Western nation. It says that these are some of the false implication that is being planned by the Western nations. ना यूगर पॉपुलेशंस की अगर बात करें, जियांग प्रोविंस है चाइना में जहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा इनकी पॉपुलेशंस हैं. यू कैन सी दीज आर द पॉपुलेशन पर 1000 एंड दीज आर द एथनिक ग्रुप. दे हैव देयर ओरिजिन फ्रॉम यूबेकिस्तान. यूबिक ओरिजिन के ये लोग हैं. और ये खास करके अगर यूगर पॉपुलेशंस की बात करें, यूपीएससी में भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा रेलिवेंट, आपसे पूछ सकते हैं किस रीजन से ये बिलोंग करते हैं. राइट, दे आर द मुस्लिम एथनिक माइनॉरिटी ग्रुप इन चाइना. Now, these were the image, satellite image that was released. So this image is evident of the fact that China किस तरह से detention center बना रही है यूगूर्स के लिए. आप देख सकते हैं 2015 में ये प्लॉट जो शो करी पूरी तरह से क्लीन थी. उसके बाद 2018 से detention center बनाने स्टार्ट किए चाइना ने. And till 2020 you can see the expansion of the detention center. So these were some of the satellite images that was reported by the international media like Al Jazeera and BBC. Now, claims by the human rights groups. So the human rights group have accused China of sweeping 1 million of more people to the minority group in the detention camp. तो ये accuse किया गया है कि चाइना detention camp में ले जाके उनको उनके genocides करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. They have been tortured, sexually assaulted and abandoned to the language and religions. Now, China has been accusing of committing the crime against humanity, possibly the genocides against the Uyghur populations and other Muslim ethnic group in the northwestern region of Xinjiang. Right, मैंने आपको लोकेशन में मैप भी दिखाई, so that these will give you a complete picture and understanding of the topic. Now, human rights violation is again a concern which was raised by the UN organization. So the assessment conclude that China is committed for the serious human rights violations under the anti-terrorism and anti-extremist policies called for an urgent attentions from the United Nations world community, and China itself need to address them as early as possible. Now, the human rights groups have renewed the call for the UN right body, which meet next month, to set up an independent body to investigate into the allegations that was made in this regard, and a conclusive report will again be published. Now, moving to the editorial of the day, that is the academia, research, and the glass ceiling in India. This is important for general studies paper 2, that is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from it is in its design and implementations. So under this editorial, there's a talk about the theme of the focus is the gender parity of the women's. So we'll see how this is going to be important. I have segregated this article into some important subtopics which include background. We'll see first the background, how the thing has arisen. गवर्नमेंट के क्या इनिशिएटिव्स हैं, वुमेन्स और स्टेम्स में क्या रोल है, बेसिकली हाउ द वुमेन इज कंट्रीब्यूटिंग, कंसर्न एक कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में वुमेन की कितनी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस हैं एंड द वे फॉरवर्ड. सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्ट. तो बैकग्राउंड की अगर बात करें तो थोड़ी बैकग्राउंड कुछ एग्जाम्पल के साथ स्टार्ट करेंगे. जेंडर इश्यूज़ की अगर बात करें, पर्टिकुलरली जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी और डिस्क्रिमिनेशंस की, एकेडमिक में ये एविडेंट है काफ़ी टाइम से पहले, बिकॉज हायर एजुकेशंस में ये देखा गया कि एक स्पॉटलाइट बेसिकली दैट कम इनटू प्ले वेयर इन 1933 वेयर कमला सोइनी हैज अप्रोच्ड सीवी रमन टू परस्यू द रिसर्च इन फिजिक्स अंडर हिज गाइडेंस. तो खास करके सीवी रमन के गाइडेंस में ये पीएचडी करना चाहती थी, रिसर्च करना चाहती थी. बट जो नोबेल लॉरियट थे, दे हैव डायरेक्टेड द अदर इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंस बैंगलोर टर्न द रिक्वेस्ट दैट शी कैन नॉट प्रोसीड the research activities because she is a woman. This was the first background case that has taken a reason that this article has been reported. और कुछ दूसरे example को देखें. So Shillong ignored the refusal because of the women discrimination and she went on सत्याग्रह. डायरेक्टर ऑफिस के बारे में उन्होंने सत्याग्रह किया. उसके बाद उनको अलाउ किया गया कि ठीक है आप रिसर्च कर सकती हैं, बट ये बोला गया कि सिमिलरली उनकी जो खास करके जो रिसर्च हैं वो फाइनली तभी अप्रूव होंगे जब अलग लेवल पे कैटेगराइजेशन होंगे. राइट. सिमिलरली 1937 में प्रोफेसर डी एम वोस, अ प्रोफेसर ऑफ फिजिक्स एट कैलकाटा यूनिवर्सिटी, was again reluctant to include Bhima Chaudhary as a research group in the suitable research that was assigned because of the women, they were not allowed. Now her work in the cosmic ray is determining the mass of the meson is a legendary. तो उन्होंने जो रिसर्च किया वो आज भी रिकॉग्नाइज की जाती है. तो पहले रिलेक्टेंसी दिखाई गई, फिर उनको इनरोल किया गया, बट जिस तरह से इनको दर्जा मिलना चाहिए था वो एक्चुअल में नहीं मिला. that has taken a debate of the glass ceiling of the with regards to the academics in India. Now, गवर्नमेंट के कुछ इंसेंटिव्स की अगर बात करें, डिस्पाइट द रिमार्केबल इंप्रूवमेंट इन द पार्टिसिपेंट्स ऑफ द वुमेन इन हायर एजुकेशन, गवर्नमेंट ने वर्क फोर्स में वुमेन्स की वर्क फोर्स को बढ़ाने के लिए कुछ इनिशिएटिव्स भी लिए हैं. द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया हैज बीन रैम्पिंग अप द एफर्ट्स टू रिमूव द जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी एंड प्रोवाइडिंग इंसेंटिव्स फॉर द वुमेन इन हायर एजुकेशन. तो कौन कौन से ऐसे इनिशिएटिव्स हैं? इफ़ यू राइटिंग इन मेंस तो आप इस तरह की चीज़ों को ज़रूर हाईलाइट करें. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट इनिशिएटिव्स हैं गति, दैट इज़ द Gender Achievement of Transforming Institutions, a pilot project under the Department of Science and Technology to promote gender equality in science and technology. उसके अलावा जो दूसरी है, that is Kiran, that is knowledge involvement in research advancement through nurturing, where there is a planning at the Department of Science again to encourage women scientists in science and technology. Women और STEMs की अगर बात करें, STEM stand for Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematical. ये चार इंपॉर्टेंट स्ट्रीम्स हैं जहाँ से सारी चीज़ों की मोस्टली रिलेशंस होती हैं. सो इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द करिकुलम दैट द आइडिया ऑफ एजुकेशन स्टूडेंट ऑफ 4 स्पेसिफिक डिसिप्लिन और अप्लाइड और इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी भी इसमें इंक्लूडेड है. सो इन दिस रिस्पेक्ट इंडिया की जो पोजीशन है इन एकेडमीज इज डिसअपॉइंटिंग बिकॉज द लेवल ऑफ वुमेन इन्वॉल्वमेंट इज देयर. इट इज डेफिनेटली अ कंसर्न. Now, according to the available data of the UNESCO, it says that some selected countries, there's the lowest position of India, which has only 14% of the female researcher with the STEM areas. तो सिर्फ 14% ऐसे महिलाएं हैं जो कि STEM रिसर्च में काम कर रही हैं. This is again an important point to note. Now, but India is not far behind many advanced countries except चाइना की. अगर जापान की अगर बात करें, जापान में 16% ऑफ फीमेल रिसर्चर हैं, नीदरलैंड में 26% और यूएस में 27% एंड यूनाइटेड किंगडम हैज 39% ऑफ वुमेन रिसर्चर्स. नो कंट्री दैट हैज़ अ गुड नंबर्स इन दिस, कई ऐसे कंट्रीज हैं जिनका मेल और फीमेल के कंपैरिजन रेशियो अच्छा है, विच इंक्लूड साउथ अफ्रीका एंड इजिप्ट विद 45% रिसर्चर एंड क्यूबा हैज़ अ 49% ऑफ रिसर्च. द हाइएस्ट नंबर ऑफ फीमेल रिसर्चर इज सीन इन टूनेशिया, Africa, followed by Argentina, that is 55%, and New Zealand with 52%. Now, some concern has been raised. अब बात करें इंडिया की, जो 43% women है, this constitute the graduate populations in STEM, and which is one of the highest in the world. But there is a downside. इसके downside ये है कि 14% of women has only joined the academic institution. जो 43% जो total enrollment थी, इसमें सिर्फ 14% ऐसे women हैं जिन्होंने actual STEMs में academic institutions को join किया. Now, according to the report that was recently published, most STEM institutions, women occupy only 20% of the professional positions, right? And the prestigious institutions like other like IITs and IIMs, basically IITs की बात करता हूँ, the numbers of the women employed is lower. For example, IIT Madras की अगर बात करें, 31 women out of 314 professors, IIT Delhi 25 out of 143. So this is the ratio, 10% and 17.5%. Now, कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में अगर देखा जाए कंपैरेटिवली साइंस स्टेम के मुताबिक, तो कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में वुमेन की ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, ज़्यादा इन्वॉल्वमेंट है. द पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ वुमेन इन द लीडरशिप एंड द डिसीजन is high in the private enterprises, right, when compared to the realities in academics. The number of women in the senior management position has, again there, it is high compared to other sectors. This is 39%, right? And the number of women CEO in the Fortunate is 500 companies is 15% of the female member. And the management for the private entrepreneurship and the growing part is 15%, 16% and 17.9%. So this trend is increasing. It shows that women role in the management and corporate world is again high. So this trend has continued nearly the parity which will reach by 2045 according to the forecast made by the Deloitte. Now, way forward की अगर बात करें, encouraging the participation of the women in the workforce और प्राइवेट सेक्टर में इनकी इन्वॉल्वमेंट जिस तरह से देखी गई है, बहुत ही अहम मुद्दा है जिसे हमें फोकस करने की ज़रूरत है. एंड वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द पोटेंशियल ऑफ द वुमेन एज कम्पेयर टू द एनी अदर इनिशिएटिव्स. गवर्नमेंट ने लिए हैं इनिशिएटिव्स काफ़ी ज़्यादा. इन रिसेंट टाइम गवर्नमेंट हैज़ ऑल्सो प्रोवाइडेड many kind of incentives and loans so that the entrepreneurship system and ecosystem in a country can start. Now, it has hoped the program will be initiated with the government of India to empower women, that the workforce will assert a gender parity by 2047, which will mark the century for India's independence. और आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव में गवर्नमेंट ने ये भी कमिट किया है कि women empowerment को बढ़ाने की ज़रूरत है. Now, moving ahead with the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice आपको बताना है मिशन वात्सल्य के बारे में. It is a mission that is aimed to reduce the infant mortality. Under this mission, National Human Milk Bank and Lactation Center was established. Second question of the day, DAC के बारे में बताना. I think most of you must be aware of this, whether the Prime Minister is the chairman or not, and it was formed on the recommendation of reforming National Security Council post Kargil War. So do check it out for the correct option. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis, followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.